So when Perth property prices rise, they don't muck around. They rise with conviction and they rise very fast. Picture The Undertaker at WrestleMania, for example. And in comparison to the rest of Australia, they largely, during the periods of their rise, remain undefeated. And basically what I want to share with you is, unlike the period of 2001 to 2006 and the period of 2009 to 2013, when Perth experienced other catabolic growth phases, those periods of time were related more to the mining and commodities prices and the migration factors that drew people over for those reasons. This marketplace and landscape is a lot different, and today's video is going to address why the overall market is very different to history and where the future of the Perth market will go. So I've got three major talking points to get through where overall the Perth market will change, and history probably won't be the best predictor of the future when it comes to the Perth market, especially from an investment profile. If we're looking at 2020, December time to now, the growth has been around about, give or take, 40% in growth of median value. So you're looking at the numbers here. December 2020 was 471,000 approximately for the median prices. And now that of December 2023, so it's obviously slightly more than that now, you're looking at 660,000. You're looking at those sort of growth factors, 2021 and 2023 being the two big bumps. Obviously, it was the lockdown boom that caused 2021, which is 14.5 increase in median value. And this previous year, 2023, went by 15.2% growth over the year. There was a mild bump of about 3% over the 2022 period, so equating to approximately about 40% growth overall. The cycles that I mentioned previously were factored in by the commodities and the mining boom, and one of the biggest reasons why that doesn't play a major factor in the current boom that we're going through is there are other triggers that are causing the growth factors to occur. One of those main factors is the outer suburb progression that we've dealt with. So the previous periods before didn't have massive build outs in places that are a 30-minute outside radius of the Perth CBD. And those factors via land release and just house and land package build outs initially caused a easement to the migration issue, because obviously a lot of houses were available for people to buy and purchase and rent and move into when they moved over to Perth. But the additional factor to that now is those other factors didn't cause the increase, where it's pretty clear now that the marketplace in Perth is very different. The 150 kilometre radius north to south for a metro is the longest north to south in Australia. And if you're factoring those things in, it's a huge reason that the Perth market is performing as it is. There's just less reliance on the Perth CBD overall, and general economic developments in these residential suburb build-outs, both north and south, via roads that have been extended, major freeways, trains, the train line, the train line that's going out all the way to Yanchop in the north is developing well, and the economic drivers both for jobs and leisure activities in these outer suburb precincts are making it less desirable and necessary for people to commute to the CBD and the surrounds, because even job profiles, if you're talking north in Joondalup, Wangara and other suburbs and surrounds, there's just more job availabilities and small business districts compared to the central business district of Perth that are making people able to not just work from home but commute not all the way to the city to conduct the same job that they're qualified for. Now, the migration factor that's coming over at the moment with one of the best wages, Perth's always performed quite well, and for a period of time, the ACT was pipping that in terms of like gross median income, but Perth's back to, if not the best, one of the best again. And the skilled labour shortage for certain roles is again what's promoting this migration over, alongside the cost of living in relation to the median purchase price and median income that's available. So if you're looking at all those things, Perth's also a very family and lifestyle focused living, so there's better schooling districts available outside of the CBD precinct as well. So that's causing people that have the ability to have a better cost of living, but also want to move into the outer precincts for better purchasability, to do that, not just for purchasing, but also for renting. People are able to do that now, and then that's what's causing Perth market overall not to follow the historical trends that most people are looking at when they're trying to predict what the Perth market will do long term. So adding on to that, that second point is due to the rising median house price. So 2003 to 2006, the median house price in Perth close to doubled. So there has been history of short periods of growth where Perth has done that, and it's essentially doing it again. Could almost go all the way up to double, and if we're looking at a double, that will be close to mid 8s to high 8s as a median price overall in Perth. And by the end of 2024, heading into 2025, that could be a very close reality. If we're factoring all those things due to the low stock being a big driver of the rising house price and the lack of new homes being built out after the housing boom that happened in 2019 to 2021 due to the costs and everything else of labour and building supplies and just land in general, that's putting a lot of pressure again on the established homes, because the migration numbers are as strong as it ever has been. The skilled labour shortage is, in a nutshell, as demandsome as it ever has been. And the last point to that is the vacancy rates are pretty much as low as they ever have been, pretty much averaging at 0.5% at time of recording. So if you're factoring all those things, the rising median house price are being impacted by a lot more triggers than mining's doing well and commodities are doing well. So Perth is performing above the rest of Australia when those factors are contributing, but they're not the driving force. Final point, and I sort of did touch on it as well, is due to the rental vacancy and the yield appeal that's happening, investor purchases are increasing in a number that is certainly unprecedented for Perth as a percentage. So we've always very much been an owner-occupier, especially in the CBD district, an owner-occupier outweighed by investor purchase. And that's true across the board. But if you're looking at the number now, it's getting closer and closer to in excess of the high 20s to even arguably have to check the exact stats on this one, but close to 30% of overall purchases, especially if you're going into the outer prefectures in Perth, are actually being snapped up by investors and rented out. And that's still not easing the rental pressures that are on the market at the moment. And we've never really been required or reliant on that in Perth over the periods leading up to now. There's always been homes for good rent ability compared to what you could get for getting a mortgage, etc., etc. And also the second part to that is there was always availability and vacancies coming up. But you look now, anyone that's renting now, if they were offered a 12-month at where they are, or even a $20 to $50 extension over a 12-month period, they'd take that rather than entering the market, where in other periods of time that may not have always been the case. They might have tried to barter, or they might have just been like, look, we'll go out and find another one. But if you were to offer anyone, comment below if that's not the case and you're listening to this and renting in Perth, but if you were offered a 12-month extension at even a $20 to $50 increase, it would be very hard to turn down unless in the next 12 months you're looking to purchase or move out of state for whatever reason. So those factors as well are driving this, wouldn't say resurgence, but this second life to the Perth market, and actually a rebirth of what Perth probably is going forward into the future. And that's where I sort of see where the Perth market could, as the title of the video suggested, change forever, is because we're getting further and further detached from the reliance. We've always been a unique state, but we're getting further and further attached from the reliance of mining and commodities as the driver of where the market will go, and much more affected by normalised things that Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide, and even Darwin have been affected by and caused to rise or decrease based off of that. And if you're looking at what's Sydney, for example, Perth's median property is less than 60% of Sydney's. And back in 2006, we were rivaling Sydney for the most expensive median property price. So certain factors cause Perth to underperform and other areas like Sydney to massively overperform. But now that we're getting to a more globalized market, and factors that cause people not necessarily to look at Perth or move to Perth or live in Perth long term, now that those things are going away, Perth is having that second life resurgence, and the factors that caused other states to perform well over those other periods where Perth underperformed, those same factors are now causing Perth to perform really well. In summary, because obviously that's the age-old question, I'm not going to put a crystal ball guesstimation on here. I think the conservative 10% increase this year and a median house price of above 700,000 in Perth is very realistic and doable, irrespective of what happens with rates and other factors over the next, like housing availability in terms of new land releases, etc. All those factors probably won't cause that conservative prediction to change too much, but overall, could it go even higher? The old suggestion suggests yes, but in terms of the more conservative approach, I don't want to put a firm guesstimation on that. The purpose of this video is actually just to showcase both the first home buyers looking to enter the Perth market for the very first time, or investors looking to realistically purchase over here, and is it still a good period or at all a good state to invest and purchase in? Both answers to that are yes, and the overall indication is to just showcase that Perth isn't necessarily going anywhere, and the factors that affected Perth for a long period of time will always contribute to the market overall, but they're not going to be the driving factors that analysts and economists of yesteryear use as their predictions when they live eastern state and predict what the Perth market's going to do overall. Again, if you like this sort of content and this video, please comment below, subscribe, as well as obviously it's a very new channel and I'd love to get an indication of the people that are consuming this content so I can cater the right information to you people. Much appreciate that if you have already done so. And we will go from there until the next video. Thanks.